What can we do with 6 letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's start putting some letters together. How about 2 E's? Remember, we don't say E, we say undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve. 2 E's. Can you do 2 E's? Can you put an E and an I together? Undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve, dot. Don't worry, you won't have to say each stroke for the rest of your life. That's just for while you're learning. Can you do an E and I together? How about an E and a U? Undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve. Are you ready for a real word? We'll do a W and an E. Now, do you already know what the problem's going to be? The W has that check stroke. And the check stroke has to be our first undercurve for our E. So we can't make a teeny tiny check stroke because there's no room to put an E on there. So we have to do undercurve, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve. And when we say check stroke, we need to say long, and then we can put our slant and our undercurve. Let's do it again. Undercurve, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve, long check stroke, slant, undercurve. That's a hard thing to do, and it takes some practice to remember that we have to go a long check stroke there. How about a T and an E? Undercurve, tall, slant, undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve, cross. And remember, our crossbar hovers above the middle line. How about a U and an E? Undercurve, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve. Are you ready to make some L's? Let's remind ourselves. We start at the bottom. Tall undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve. That's our L. Let's put an L and an E together. Tall undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve. Notice how my slants are almost, not perfect, but they're almost running parallel to each other. And that will make your letters very legible. That means people will be able to read them instead of just mark your spelling word wrong because they couldn't read what you wrote. And they're about the same. They're a steady distance apart so that people will also be able to read my handwriting. Let's put L and I together. Undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve. 2 L's, like in ball. Undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve, loop back, slant, undercurve. a U and an L. An I and an L. And then we did L and E, but practicing E and L will be helpful. So, do you think you could practice these letter combinations and then stop and look and say, this looks pretty good, or this looks a little funny. I wonder what I did wrong there, or different than what Brecken said to do. One fun thing to do to practice is to make patterns with these strokes. You can do undercurve, loop back, slant, 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 undercurve, loop back, slant. Now notice how this is almost longer than any word we've written, and my hand was running out of, my fingers were running out and I needed to move my arm. When you get to that point, it's much happier for your hand if you move your paper close. Move your paper this way. Don't unslant it, but move your paper so your hand doesn't have to move. If you get in the practice of moving your paper instead of your hand, your muscles won't get as tired as fast. So try making patterns out of the E and the L, the undercurve, loop back, slant, and the undercurve, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve, slant, undercurve, slant. What would a pattern with an undercurve slant and an undercurve loop back slant look like? I don't know. You should try it. I'm gonna do a tall one. Okay. That's a lot to work on today. 6 letters worth. Take your time, and when your hand starts to hurt, or your pinky right here starts to hurt, you can stretch your pinkies like that. You can stretch them out and crunch them up and stretch them out and crunch them up. Rolling your wrist with a fist. Stick your arm straight out and do that. They're new muscles that you're working in. They'll get sore just like anything else. So, tips for success. Some padding, 3 or 4 pieces of paper, lines on your paper, your pen hold, 3 fingers together, pen rests on your middle finger and steadies with your thumb and your pointer finger, and slant your paper. Have fun writing and practicing your writing.